Safety and security don't just happen. They are the result of collective consensus and public investment. We owe our children, the most vulnerable citizens in our society, a life free of violence and fear. Welcome to Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson. We have an interesting show lined up just for you, so stay tuned. In honor of Child Month, Get the Facts delves into the minds of two young individuals, Tamoy Campbell and Ravel Coke.
Welcome to Get the Facts, the program that provides you with information on government's policies and initiatives. I'm your host, Enthros Campbell. Now, today we closed out the series on Child Month, and we're talking with active members of the National Secondary Students' Council body on their role as advocates for their peers. We speak with Tamoy Campbell, who is Secretary and Public Relations Officer for Region 1 first, and later we'll be joined by Ravel Coke, who is President of Region 6. Tamoy, so good to have you.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
Great. So now you are at Wolmer's,
yes,
and you are Secretary, Public Relations Officer for Region 1. Tell me about the parishes in Region 1. What parishes are
Parishes in Region 1 would be Kingston and St. Andrew. Yes.
Okay, so you have that function.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit more about yourself as a Wolmer's student.
All right, proud Marian, of course, but Tamoy is a very tenacious and argumentative young lady. I am very passionate about everything that I do, and I stick very close to my motto, Agekwadagis, whatever you do, do it to the best of your ability, and it's something that translates in all aspects of my life. Currently, I really press a lot on being involved in school, and I want a very holistic sort of curriculum, so I'm a part of the, as I said, student council body at school. Yes. I'm the captain for the school challenge quiz team. I was in ISCF, thank you. I'm vice president for the debating society, and I just try to do as much as I can in school. Outside of school, I recently became a part of the Teenage Observer, so I started writing articles for them. I thought that would be something really good. The Commonwealth Youth Peace Ambassadors Network, and essentially a whole lot of other activities. But at the end of the day, I'm still a regular teenager, so I make time for my Netflix series, and of course trying to be a really good big sister for my little brother Nathan.
Oh, good job. So, but you're doing, how many CAPE subjects are you doing?
This 4. Yes.
4. How is it going so far?
Well, they already started, and I put in the work, and I had very good teaching over the years, so let's just hope that August the results will show favorable.
Tell us which subjects you're doing.
I do law, literature in English, history, and Caribbean studies.
And what's your objective?
Okay, so at the end of it all, I intend to pursue a law career, but alongside that, I want to do politics very much. So yes? I would love to become the next Attorney General. Okay. And alongside that, very robust activism on human rights, gender discrimination, and inequality, and disabilities in our youth.
Right. So you're pretty active.
Yes.
How do you balance that with studying?
Oh, wow. I don't have a formula, really. It's a lot of praying. I just hope that everything goes well. But realistically, I try to set goals and objectives, and I try to say, okay, Tamoy, if you study this today, reward yourself with, let's watch probably one series of Scandal, or a little one or something that you want to do. Or I try to go outside a lot. I realize doing upper 6 doing all of these CAPE subjects, going outside a lot and just kind of taking a breather kind of helped. So that would really be it. So it's the reward system and just trying to take some nice long walks as much as I possibly can.
So you watch some TV,
yes,
right?
some TV.
Well, how would you advise children who watch a lot of TV? Because you're saying it's not so bad, you can balance it. Tell me.
Well, I would say to you that you really have to know what you want. And if you know that you want, at the end of the day, to get some really good, great parties at that, you can say, look, Netflix or your TV will always be there, but you have one shot to get those exam grades great. So let's just put it off. Let's prioritize. Yes. So I'd say let's try to prioritize, say, 1 hour of TV today, and you're going to do your 1 hour, your 2 hours of, say, Carib studies or history or whatever it is you have to study.
So do you use the knowledge you get from television in your life or to impact your schoolwork?
Yes, because a lot of what I watch would have to be in correlation with a lot of what I want to do as a career.
Yes.
So, as I said before, I watch Scandal, and I watch a lot of series that are surrounded in the legal and political sphere, and I take away a lot from that, whether it be just the skills, how they articulate, how they just move around in their societies, in their work environment. And so those are some of the little areas, and of course building my vocabulary, because I like to hear the words that they use.
Yes.
So that's where I try to watch a lot of TV that would align with my interest as it pertains to my career. But of course, every now and again you watch things that are just mere entertainment.
Yes. So that's a very good point, those of us who are watching, that when you watch television, you need to use what you learn from TV, say the words, the vocabulary, the turn of phrases and so on, use that in your daily life, and it surely will help. Then you can say, you can watch some TV because it's benefiting, yes? All right, tell me a little bit now about your work in the Students' Council.
Very rigorous, but we love it nonetheless. It's about advocacy, and advocacy really is about representation, giving that voice to those who are not in the capacity to do it as effectively, making sure that you put yourself below. I like to use this quote from Gandhi, that leadership is the highest form of servitude, and the NSSC, it really epitomizes that notion. It's about understanding that other students, your peers, are going to go through problem situations, and you're here to find a solution as best as possible. You're here to be that robust, radical force that they need. Because
radical. Student council. What is that?
Pardon?
What is being radical in that sense? Because at schools, principal would say the student council is radical, and so you're not respectful. Tell me about that.
There are limits to it, and well, when I say radical, I don't mean to go out of the confines and want to start some mass revolution.
Right.
There are ways to doing things, but radical approach means, for me, is that you just move beyond what is normal, what is expected of you, and it's about engendering that bold tenacity that is really needed.
All right, tell me about some issues that you have championed.
Okay, so
that has worked
council?
For student council, yes.
Great. So we focus a lot on unlawful suspensions and boardroom representation, and of course transportation, gang violence, and those are the ones I can really remember. But emphasis is really on the boardroom representation and the unlawful suspensions. We realize a lot of the times that.
What do you mean by boardroom representation?
So the student council is supposed to, at least one member is supposed to actually be on the board.
School board.
On the school board. So, for the transparency, for the balance, and all of that sort of thing. And we realize a lot of the times that there's a lot of friction between the admin and student council. So you find presidents saying that I've never been to a board meeting, or they can't get any of the minutes from the board meeting because of all of that that's going on. And the suspensions would be because a lot of the time students are getting these suspensions for mere instances that could have been, let us say, rectified by a warning, a little disciplinary action that is not as serious as a suspension.
Right. In this Child Month, we've been focusing on students with challenge, mental, physical, whatever. What is the Student Council doing for these children?
Well, the NSSC actually had a lip sync competition last year because we wanted, of course, something fun and vibrant, but of course, we had to keep in mind that we were doing this for a greater cause. And the proceeds from that went to the Lister Mary Gilby School for the Deaf because we believe in inclusion. So it's about the students, everybody, the Woolmers, the KSE, all of that. But it's also our students, they matter, they have needs, and they are just as important. So we focused on that last year.
Okay. As we wrap, your word for children watching this program.
Oh, okay. I don't.
Especially as it relates to their own safety.
Okay, for your safety, I would say try not to make yourself a target. You have an accountability to yourself. So if you can walk on the road and avoid taking out your phone and listening to your music, and before you go into the bus, why not have your bus fare in your hand? In essence, take initiative and charge of your own safety because you are a priority. And if you can make yourself less of a target, I would say do that as well. And walk in groups, helping each other, working with each other, it saves lives and it saves time. So that would be my little message to students.
Tamoy Campbell, such a pleasure speaking with you today.
Thank you very much.
And all the best in your exams.
Thank you.
Good. We take a break now. When we come back, we talk with Ravel Cook. Stay with us. Welcome back to Get the Facts. Today we are focusing on our children as we close our Child Month. Earlier we spoke with Tamoy Campbell, who is Secretary and Public Relations Officer for Region 1 of the National Secondary Students Council. We are now joined by Ravel Cook, Vice President of Region 6. Welcome, Ravel.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm very okay.
You're Vice President of Region 6.
Yes, miss.
Tell me, which parishes are in Region 6?
So Region 6 includes St. Catherine and Clarendon.
Yes. And tell me about your Vice Presidency.
Oh, well, it has been very, very rough, but very fun, of course, and a learning experience, having to manage 41 council between the parishes of St. Catherine and Clarendon. It's really, but the experience at the end of it all was worth it.
Yes. So tell me a little bit more about yourself.
So I'm a sixth form student at the Charlemont High School, head boy serving my second term. I am a Theatre Arts Society member and exec member, a member of the debating team, ISCF and Key Club, and as you know, Student Council.
A lot on your plate. And how are the exams so far?
Well, they're going good,
Right. And how do you study? Tell us how you study. You're just studying and doing all of that, those other activities. How do you do it?
Wow. I really don't know how I do it, It just, the days go.
So you need to make a plan, like a study plan and your activities plan.
I try. It doesn't always work out though. But what I do is that I have an idea of the topics that I really don't understand, and I try to set a goal for the day or a particular hour to see that this is what I need to understand by the end of this particular time.
But you're obviously doing well, right?
Yes, miss.
Yes. Tell me now, what subjects are you studying at Cape?
So I'm studying law, sociology, history, and Caribbean studies.
Right, and you want to become a lawyer?
Yes, miss.
And a politician?
And a politician.
Why do you want to become a politician?
Apology. Wow. Working with Student Council for the past 6 years, I've really learned that I love sharing, coming up with ideas and sharing into the vision to develop and become better. And once you find a love and a passion, I don't think you'd give it up because of the circumstances around.
But you're going to do them alongside each other, lawyer and then politician.
Yes,
all right,
yes.
okay. Tell me, so you're vice president
Yes,
for Region 6, which is Clarendon and St. Catherine.
Yes, miss.
And you've had some serious accidents with students in that region, and the Student Council has actually petitioned the Minister of Transportation to get a better system in place, yes?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So what we're doing, we're advocating for increase in the number of rural transportation, especially for students in Clarendon. However, what we have recognized is that it's not just on the path of the commuters, but also the students. So what we're doing is looking at advocating to our own peers on road safety and how they can protect themselves traveling to and from school.
Yes. Have you started that already?
No, it's something we're looking to do in the incoming academic year.
Yes. So one challenge that you have in Region 6 is with the transportation.
Yes.
What other kind of challenges you have as students in that region, and what is the Student Council doing to help that?
So one challenge that we have in our region, and I think other regions will agree with me, is the lunch system. So we have recognized that in our regional meetings, schools keep on bringing it up and saying that we have lunch problems. And what we have done is to say that we need to take a deeper look into it. And we thought it was something we could do in the short term, but when we realized that it was something that really need
What's
attention.
with the lunch system?
So it varies from school to school.
Yes.
So it's quantity and quality, which is a general thing, as well as the affordability for some students.
Yes.
So we notice that even part students have problem with the lunches. So there are some cases where part students are only getting one lunch per week, or they are unable to afford lunch at their school. So we want to, in the incoming year with the new executive, look at the lunch system right across the island, do an in-depth research on it, and then present our finding to the minister and the various stakeholders.
Okay, good. Good job. Now, let's go back to the accidents and students traveling in overloaded buses. How would you, as the Vice President of Region 6, address that, especially from the standpoint of the students? What would you say to the students?
Well, firstly, I'd say to the student that we must take into consideration our own safety. Our lives are valuable, you know. So really and truly is that we need to stop and to think, is this safe? What are the things that can happen from me going into an overload transportation?
But you were telling me off camera why the students really have to be packing up in these buses.
Yes, that's true. So especially in the Spanish Town area, we recognize that in the afternoon, it's very difficult to get transportation back home. You know, so for most transportation, especially the buses, would take a certain number of students, and that results in a number of them getting transportation late in the evenings. So once they get a bus, whether it's overload, once it's taken them, that's lifesaver for them. So what we are looking at is to see how we can best advise the public to take into consideration our students, our youths and children, because their safety, especially at this time, you know, being late on the road is a concern.
Yes, but I don't know, what is the solution?
Well, that's going to be more than something on the spot,
Right.
but definitely a change in our view and our value for our children. As a future, I believe that adults need to think that our students need to be safe and protected.
Yes.
And as such, we need to look after them. So it cannot be that I am going to get on a bus and see a conductor say, oh, schoolers, I can't take you. You know, we have sons and daughters, nieces and nephews.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us, there is a phrase that most adults use these days. Oh, I'm so stressed. And you students are saying, no, they are saying they're stressed. We are stressed too. What is it that stresses students?
School.
And are you really?
School.
But you're supposed to go to school?
Yeah, school is stress. School is stress. Like, really, it is stress.
How is that? Because you're supposed to be studying, and that's all you're doing, you're not working. Why is it stressful?
Well, study is just one part of it, you know. Why is studying stressful? I don't know. But then we go on and say that we need to get involved into various activities, which just gets us even more stress.
Well, I would say if you have timetables and you have study timetables and you have your activities and you plan them carefully, you should be okay. What do you say?
Well, we say, but even the persons who are well organized complain about being stressed. What I think, though, that we need to focus on is to look at, have our students focusing on mental health, you know, because it's a reality. We joke about it, but it's a reality. And we can see where there have been cases where students have been stressed to the extent that they commit self-harm as well as even suicide. So it's something that we need to explore within our schools.
Yes. We're wrapping up now. Boys, the time has just flown by. Tell us, look to camera and tell us, what is your message to children watching now?
So my message to children who are watching now is that as students, we have one responsibility. Well, we have a number of responsibilities. First, as human beings, so take care of yourself, take care of your safety. And secondly, as a student, you have a responsibility to yourself to ensure that your academic life is on par. So work together and to remember to be respectful and responsible. Yes.
Thank you so much, Rafael.
Yes, thank you.
All the very best in your subject and
you.
your career.
Thank you very much.
Good job. This has been Get the Facts. Our special guests were Tamoy Campbell, Secretary and Public Relations Officer for Region 1 of the National Secondary Students' Council, and Ravel Coke, Vice President of Region 6. Until next time, I'm Rose Campbell, reminding you to encourage, enable, and include our children always.
Protect Jamaica, plant your grass. Help us become more resilient to climate change impacts. Protect Jamaica, plant a tree. It improves the island's national biodiversity. Trees may be fruit, ornamental, or timber, but must be native or suitable to the area's natural landscape. Join the Jamaica Million Tree Campaign and help to plant 1 million trees by June 30, 2019. This is a call to action by the National Environment and Planning Agency.
3 deaf students from the Edna Mandy College of the Visual and Performing Arts have danced their way into the hearts of so many, having won multiple awards in the JCDC's Deaf Dance Competition. Check them out.
There's a sort of purposeful selection of the sequence in these human movements. The symbolic significance of hands massaging the air and feet beating to the vibrations of songs. They're focused, energized, ready, and raring to go. If you think about it, they are just like you and I. Well, of course, that's if you can dance. But one thing might be different.
I've been there for 23 years, and I've been dancing for 10 years. I've been deaf for 21 years, and I've been dancing for 14 years. So I've been hard of hearing ever since I was born until now, and I've been dancing for 16 years.
Yes, persons like Christoph, Kimberly, and Damani dance. And despite nature's act of removing a seemingly valuable aspect of their senses, these three are pursuing a certificate in dance at the Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts, but not without some challenges.
Well, my experience here, at first, when the three of us just arrived, we were a bit awkward in terms of communicating, but then we were able to learn from each other, learning from the hearing students, and we were able to, we had issues as well with the rhythm, keeping up with the rhythm at all times, but then we were eventually able to catch up and we started to improve gradually. So for me, my main issue is timing. So I try to work along closely with the other students in the class and the teacher as well. And then eventually I'm able to catch up with the timing in terms of the music. So my challenge during class, it's really to ensure that my body is moving with the timing and the music.
Deaf dancers do move on the beat and in one accord with the rhythm, but the surprising element in this for most persons is just how are they able to, or even why did they choose dance?
I hear a little of the music and I can feel the vibration on the floor as well. So it's not that bad for me. So I use that method throughout.
With his sense of touch heightened through his loss of hearing, Damani can interpret the music through the vibrations he feels. Deaf dancers are visual learners, so for them, their instructors sign the moves or the counts. While other dancers are busy remembering the details of the moves, those like Damani, Kimberly, and Christoph are counting, keeping time, and watching keenly what their hearing peers are doing so they can interpret the steps.
So I chose to study dancing because dancing is my life. It's my passion ever since. So I want to learn more and more about dancing. I don't want to give up. I don't want to stop. I want to continue. Because my goal is to become a dancer in the future. So when I'm finished at Edna Manley College, I want to become a dancer and I want to perform around the world. So my goal is to become a dance teacher so that I can empower younger deaf children who really love dancing and empower them so that they can, be as good as I am. It's their turn.
But for acting dean at the School of Dance, being deaf is not the biggest obstacle for becoming a great dancer.
I don't want to describe what we have as challenges. I want to describe them as opportunities to learn. What fundamental to dance is the ability to demonstrate and for the dancer to use their eyes and observe and learn the experience in a visual way and then demonstrate what it is that they have been taught. I think one of the interesting things about the deaf students is that their other senses are heightened. And so they're able to access the information in other ways and quite differently from the hearing students. So it's very interesting to see the learning dynamics, but the end result and the objective or the learning outcome of the experience are still achieved. And we're very happy about that because ultimately we want them to succeed.
And while for the school it is the first time opening its gates to persons like Christoph, Kimberly and Demani to study dance,
They're eager to receive the information and we're inspired by this drive to learn and to succeed. So even though we have an interpreter, the interpreter is also learning from the experience because we have interpreters who have never been in a school environment like this where dance is concerned, so they're also learning new language. It somehow feels as though they've brought more to us.
for many of the deaf community, the fear of fitting in lingers. But for Christoph, Kimberly and Demani, dancing is passion-driven and determination-ruled.
Well, I hope that what we've done here at the Edna Manley College in terms of opening our doors to 3 deaf students will encourage others and inspire them to go after their dreams.
So I remember in high school, there was a quote that says, "I believe I can achieve." I go by that. So in the Bible, it talks about, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." I believe I can achieve.
It's a seasonal task, but with that seasonal task, it becomes a lifetime responsibility. Even when you're out of the parenthood in terms of the personal responsibility of the upbringing of that child, you're going to have the task of guiding that child into manhood or into adulthood. And I believe that that experience in taking the child through school, life itself is a school. So your process as a parent is a continuous one up until death.
Talking to your children is important. Listening and understanding their feelings is key. Be sure to listen and validate their experiences. Your children need you. They need to be heard and understood. Give them a voice and help them unearth their true potential as we make Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. Thanks for watching another edition of Jamaica Magazine. Do join us again tomorrow and we'll do this all over again. Send your feedback on today's show to jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm. Also, follow us on our social media pages, Instagram, Facebook, and of course there's Twitter. Download our app on your Apple and Android devices, and you can also visit our website, jis.gov.jm, for more information. On behalf of the entire production crew, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.